This is what you all have been waiting for. It's 30 things to do after installing Manjaro. You don't have to do all of these things, but I believe you will find many of them useful. Let's get started. Just before we start, I would like to introduce you the sponsor of this video, Skillshare. Skillshare is a great place to explore creative classes including writing, video making, music, design, photography, web development, different business topics, lifestyle and productivity. There are many beginners and advanced classes. I have already taken the class on how to hand code your first website and created this website. Right now I refresh my Linux knowledge with this complete Linux training course to get your dream IT job by Imran Afzal. If you want to start your career in Linux and have little or no knowledge of Linux, this course will definitely help you. It covers all topics from Linux installation to administration and troubleshooting. The first 1000 subscribers to click on the link in the description will get access to this course and thousands other Skillshare videos with 2 months free premium membership. Give it a try. Let's start with theme number 1, backup your system. Before you do any changes to your system, it is always good to have a backup. In Manjaro, you already have a backup application pre-installed. If you search for Timeshift, you will open Timeshift backup application. You will need to enter password to open it. Next, you can click on this wizard button and configure it. There are 2 options here. I recommend you to use ArcSync, but if you have Btrfs file system, you can also configure it here. We will click Next. Then you need to wait for some time before Timeshift estimates the size of your system. If you have several hard drives, you can also select them here. I have only 1 hard drive here, so I will keep SDA1 selected here and click Next. Then you can decide how often you want to make your backups. I usually keep 1 monthly backup, 1 weekly backup and 3 daily backups. So you select what backups you want to do and click Next. Here you can decide what you want to backup. You can backup both your root folder and your home folder. If you have enough space, I recommend you to backup both. But if you have limited space, I recommend you to prioritize your home folder. This is exactly what I'm going to do. I will backup my home folder. Next. So now the backup is configured and you can click Finish here. So the next snapshot will be created at specified interval, but you don't need to wait for that time. Before you do any changes to your system, you can just click here, create a snapshot and backup your system. It will take some time, but I will speed up this video to save your time. When your backup is complete, you can continue to the next step, install drivers. To check what drivers are available for your system, you need to open Manjaro Settings and go to Hardware Configuration. And here you will see if any drivers are available for your system. I don't have many drivers suggested here because my system does not use any proprietary drivers, and right now I'm running Manjaro in VirtualBox, so that's why it suggests me to install some of VirtualBox drivers. But if you have, for example, NVIDIA video card, most likely you will see NVIDIA proprietary drivers offered here. Also here you can find out the information about all hardware of your system and how it is recognized. If you click on this Show All Devices, you will be able to see the names of all hardware of your system. For example, you can check your network controller, you can also see what kind of multimedia controllers you have on your system. So this is also sometimes useful. For example, if Manjaro does not recognize your hardware automatically, you will be able to find its name here, and then you can Google the name of the driver for this particular hardware. Number 3. Switch to local mirror. By default, Manjaro updates your system using the global Manjaro server, but you can switch to the local server to make this update process much faster. If you open your update manager and click on this menu button, then you go to Preferences, enter your password to open it, and if you go to this Official Repositories tab, here you will see that you use Worldwide Mirror, but if you click on it, you can find your country here, select it, and this way the updates will be downloaded from the server which is the closest to your country or which is located in your country. This way you will reduce the load for the Manjaro global mirror but you will also gain some download speed because you will be downloading updates and software packages from the closest mirror to your location. Then you just need to refresh your mirror list, and next time you install anything, it will be downloaded from the mirror in your country. Enable AUR or Arch User Repository. One of the benefits of using Arch Linux, and Manjaro is based on Arch Linux, is you can get access to all packages which are available for Linux. But to get access to these packages, you need to enable the access to AUR, and you can easily do that in Manjaro. You just need to open Software Center, go again to this menu Preferences, and here in the AUR tab, you just need to enable it. And you can also enable check for Arch User Repository updates. Next, you can close these settings, and you can start searching AUR applications. For example, you may want to install Skype, which is not available in official Arch repository, but it is available in AUR. If you search for Skype, and then you click on AUR here, you will be able to find Skype for Linux application available here. Then you just click on this build button and install it. But I will show you how to do that in the next thing to do after installing Manjaro. Install popular apps. As I have shown in the previous thing to do after installing Manjaro, you can install many popular applications using Arch User Repository. For example, you can install Skype. You just need to click on this build button, and then you click apply. You can confirm that you want to build it, enter your password, and wait while the Skype application is built and installed on your system. Similar way, you can find many other popular apps and install them just using Manjaro Software Center. For example, you can find Zoom application, which is very popular nowadays, and install it from here. You can also install Spotify using Arch User Repository. It is available here. Sometimes you will find that one application has several different versions here, but you usually need to pick the one which is in the top. So you can build and install Spotify. Similar, if you use Slack Messenger, you can also find it here. Here it is available as a Slack desktop. There are many other popular applications available in Arch User Repository. I hope this was helpful, and now you will have access to all applications you need in your Manjaro desktop. Next thing I recommend to do in Manjaro is to set your date and time automatically. You can easily do that if you open Manjaro settings. Next thing I recommend to do in Manjaro is to set your date and time automatically. You can easily do that if you open Manjaro settings, go to time and date, and here you just need to select set time and date automatically. Now Manjaro will sync your date and time with the internet, and you will have very precise time on your computer. Go to time and date, and here you just need to select set time and date automatically. Now Manjaro will sync your date and time with the internet, and you will have very precise time on your computer. Number 7. Reduce swappiness. This feature enables you to force your system to use as much RAM as possible and reduce number of writes to your hard drive. This way you will get some performance boost. I have talked about swap and swap file in one of my previous videos. Please watch that video if you want to learn more. But here I will just show you how to reduce swap usage on your Manjaro. For that you need to open terminal, and you can check the current swap value of your system. For that you need to type cat procs sys vm swappiness, and the default value is usually 60, but we can reduce this value to 10. And to do that you need to create an open file which is located in atc sysctl.d 100 manjaro.conf. You need to enter your password to open this file, and here you need to type vm.swappiness equal 10. Ctrl O to save the changes, then you need to press enter, and Ctrl X to exit from the nano editor. Next you need to reboot your system. Let's do that. And if you check your swappiness value after the reboot, you will see it is 10 now. So now your Manjaro will use as much RAM as possible and will reduce the use of swap, which is located on your hard drive. This should give your system little performance boost. Next thing I recommend is to enable Firewall. Firewall gives additional layer of security to your system. I have a separate video where I have talked about Firewall in Linux and whether you need it or not. Please watch that video by clicking on the link in this corner. But in short, I usually encourage people to enable Firewall. That's why I recommend to enable it in Manjaro. If you open Firewall application, you just need to click here to enable it, and that's it. Now your Firewall is activated. And if you want to learn more about how to use Firewall, please watch the video which I have referred to before. Number 9. Install Microsoft Fonts. If you install Manjaro with FreeOffice, you already have access to Microsoft Fonts here. As you can see, Times New Roman is one of Microsoft fonts. But these fonts will not be available in other applications, and to make them available in all other applications, for example in GIMP, you need to install Microsoft Fonts system-wide. You can do that if you go to Software Center and search for TTF MS font. Here it is, then you just need to click on Build and Apply. Apply again, enter your password, and Microsoft Fonts will be compiled and installed on your system, and you will be able to get access to such fonts as Times New Roman, Arial, Comic Sans, and many others in all applications of your Manjaro. Enable trim for SSD. I was surprised Manjaro does not have trim enabled by default, because many Linux distributions such as Ubuntu and Linux Mint already have it enabled. But you can easily enable that, and this will optimize the performance of your SSD drive. You need to open Terminal and check the status of fstream of your system. For that you need to type sudo systemctl status fstream.timer. So as you can see, it is inactive, but you can easily activate it. If you type the same command, but instead of status you type start and check the status again, you will see fstream is activated now. So this will improve the performance of your SSD drive. If you use SSD drive, I highly recommend you to enable fstream. Install Redshift. Redshift reduces the amount of blue light on your screen at night, which is better for your eyes, and it also helps you to fall asleep easier. And you can install that application in Manjaro if you open Software Center. Then you need to search for Redshift and install it. After the installation, open it from the menu. After you have started Redshift, it will appear in your system tray. Here you just need to click on it, make sure it is enabled, and also check that it is activated for auto start. The rest will be done automatically. Redshift will reduce the amount of blue light on your screen at night. I was surprised it is not pre-installed in Manjaro by default, because many Linux distributions already have it built in. But now you also have it in your Manjaro. Consider installing long-term support kernel in your Manjaro. This is an optional thing to do after installing Manjaro, and I show it just for your consideration, but I believe many of you who would like to have more stability in your Manjaro system will use this option. So if you open Manjaro settings and go to the kernel option, you will see there are many different kernels available in your Manjaro, and you will also find that some of these kernels have LTS tag. This means that this is long-term support kernel. And if you want to have more stability and reliability with your system and you don't need the latest kernel, I recommend you to install LTS kernel. But if you use the latest hardware or you want the latest features, of course you should stay on the latest kernel. Everything is up to you. If you are not sure, you can try both kernels and see which one works better for you. But I usually install LTS kernel. You just need to click on this install button here, and the LTS kernel will be installed on your system. Terminal settings. After I have installed Manjaro, I also decided to change some settings for my terminal. Although Manjaro terminal settings are very good, I believe I like it a little bit differently. For example, I don't really like the opacity of the terminal, because as you can see right now, it is a little bit disturbing when you have some images at the background. So if you click on Preferences here and go to Appearance, here you can disable opacity, but of course it is up to you. Now, when the opacity is disabled, it is less distracting to type anything in your terminal. And the second option I usually like to enable, I go to this View menu and disable show menu bar. Now my terminal is a bit cleaner and nicer, but if you need the menu again, you can right click on this terminal and click show menu bar, and it will appear here. But I usually disable it, and this way terminal looks very minimalistic, clean and nice. Firefox Settings. If you followed my previous videos on things to do after installing any Linux distribution, you know that I usually adjust my Firefox settings, and Manjaro is not exception. First thing I do, I go to the preferences, and here I enable restore previous session. So this way, when I close Firefox with certain tabs open, next time I open it, it will open with the same tabs. This is very useful because it saves your time and you can transfer your work from one day to another, for example. Next, I scroll down these settings and I enable DRM support. DRM is required to play some videos, for example Netflix videos. So this is the second thing I do. And the third thing I do, I also change the search bar. By default you have one bar here, which is both your navigation bar and your search bar. But sometimes it doesn't work correctly. For example, if you search for email, if you type your email here, Firefox will open your email client and it will not search for it on the web. But if you enable this both location bar and search bar, you will be able to search for emails in this search bar. I like this old style a little more. Second, I also click on this empty space with my right click and go to customize. And I remove these empty spaces because it is not necessary to have those empty spaces. After that, my Firefox looks like this. I have one long location bar, search bar. Firefox will also remember my all open tabs and I can use Firefox to play Netflix video. Install Google Chrome. Since we have touched upon Firefox, I know that many users prefer Google Chrome over Firefox. And you can of course use Google Chrome in Manjaro as well, but you need to install it. You open Manjaro Software Center and search for Google Chrome. Here it is, and you click Build and Apply. And it will compile and install Google Chrome in your Manjaro. But remember, for that you need to have AUR enabled in your Manjaro, which I have showed in one of the previous things to do after installing Manjaro. So when Google Chrome is installed, you can search for it in your menu. You can make it default browser if you want, but I'm not gonna do that. And here it is, Google Chrome, running smoothly in your Manjaro Linux. Install Password Manager. Password Manager is another application which I think is essential in any Linux distribution, but unfortunately there is no Password Manager installed in Manjaro. However, you can easily fix it. If you open Manjaro Software Center and search for KeyPassXC, you will find this application which I use for my password management. You can of course check there are many other password managers and install which one you like more, but I recommend to use this nice open source password manager. So here you also need to select which display server you are running. Most likely you will be running X server, so you can select it here, but if you are sure you are running Wayland, you can select it too. If you don't know which server you are running, you can open terminal and type this command. Then you run it. If you see Xorg, it means you run X server, but if you see Wayland, it means you run Wayland. I run Xorg here. So I select Xscript here, enter password again, and this will install KeyPassX in your Manjaro system. Let's open it to show you how it looks. So this is the application. You just need to create a password database. Default settings are usually fine. Here you enter your master password, save it, and now you can create as many passwords as you need and have different passwords for every application and every online account. And to create a password, you click on this plus button, then you give it a name, let's make it test, then you write your username, LU for example, and you generate a password. You click on this button, you select how complicated you want your password to be, you can also check how it looks, you can refresh it if you want another password, until you find something what you like, and then you apply it. So now you have your password stored here, and here you can also add the URL to associate with this password. After you have done it, you can click OK, and it will appear here. So next time you need to use this password, you just right click on it and copy username and paste it where you need, and then you right click again and copy password and paste it where you need. After you close this application, all your passwords will be encrypted, and to get access to these passwords you need to enter only one master password, which we have created when we just opened this application first time. So I believe I will make a separate video on password managers, but this was just quick introduction to password management application KeePass XC. Give it a try, I really like this application and I believe security is very important nowadays, so that's why I included it as a thing to do after installing Manjaro. Number 17. Install language packages. If you open Manjaro settings and go to language packages, you will see it suggests you to install a number of language packages. You just need to click on this install packages button, then you click yes and install all these additional language packages, which will in general improve your desktop experience. And that's it. Install spell checking applications. In addition to language packages, I also recommend to install some spell checking applications, which will improve your writing. You can install all of them through the software center, but I will use terminal to install them all at once. And to install them you need to type sudo pacman with option capital S, and then you type the name of these packages. Spell en, so this is for English. Then I also install lib mythos and language tool, which I have talked about in a separate video. Then you press enter, type your password and install all these programs. When these packages are installed, your spell checking will be improved and all errors will be spotted automatically by your Manjaro system. Add keyboard layout. If you're multilingual, you probably need to use several keyboard layouts, so you can usually do that in Manjaro. You just need to open XFCE settings, go to keyboard, layout, and here you will see your current layout. Then you can just click on this add button and install any additional keyboard layout. For example, I will select Ukrainian here. So now I have two keyboard layouts in my system. Here I can also select what shortcut I can use to change my keyboard layout. I will use Alt-Shift here, and then you close it. If you want to see the current keyboard layout in your system tray, you need to right click on your panel, go to Panel Preferences. Here in Items, click on Notification area, and then on this plus button and search for keyboard layouts and add it here. Then you can close it, move it to where you like it. I usually place it just before the notification area. Then you can also go to the settings and change the look of this keyboard layout. You can just use text, you can use the system settings. Here you can use language or you can use country. So play with these settings and decide what you like the most, but I believe these settings works well. So I will close it, and now I have keyboard layout here and I can easily switch by clicking on it or by using shortcut. This way you can add as many keywords as you need and switch between them very quickly. Configure Xkill shortcut. If you watch my previous videos on things to do after installing Ubuntu, for example, you know this shortcut and how useful it is. I would like to show you it in Manjaro. So if you go to the settings, keyboard and application shortcuts and you scroll down, you will see that Xkill is already pre-configured here, and you can use it with a shortcut Ctrl-Alt-X, and your mouse will turn into this skull, and if you click with this skull on any application, it will kill it. This is very useful when application gets frozen and you don't know how to close it, so you just click on this shortcut, click on that application and kill it. The only problem here is I don't like this Ctrl-Alt-X shortcut. I would like to change it to my default shortcut, which is Ctrl-Alt-Escape. So I just double click on it and press Ctrl-Alt-Escape, and the shortcut has been changed. You can use any other shortcut if you want, or you can keep it at default, but it is definitely very useful. For example, let's say I open terminal and let's assume it got frozen and I cannot close it. I click on this cross and it doesn't close. I press Alt-Ctrl-Escape, my mouse pointer turns into this skull, I click on the terminal and it is killed now. So this way you can easily quit from an application which is frozen. It doesn't happen often in Linux, but sometimes it does, so now you know what to do. Clipboard Manager Settings. In Manjaro, if you have noticed, you have this Clipboard Manager here in the tray menu. It is very useful because if you copied something several steps ago, you can always go back here and extract that information from the clipboard. The only problem here is this memory is very short. If you go to the settings, you will see it is limited to maximum 15 items. I usually like my clipboard manager to be much longer, so I set it to 100. And this is what I also recommend to do after installing Manjaro. This way, Clipboard Manager will remember the last 100 items you have copied. This is very useful, because if you copied some text, like 50 steps back, and you want to recover it, you can go to your Clipboard Manager and find it right here. Improve Application menu. If you click on this menu in Manjaro, this is how it looks by default. All the categories are now on the right, and I think it is not very ergonomic, because if you had them on the left, you would be able to access all the categories much faster. You would just need to move your mouse up, instead of moving it to the right and up. So if you right click on this menu and go to the properties, you will be able to reposition your categories here. You just need to select this option, and now all the categories are on the left, which is much better in my view. Moreover, here you can also select between different styles. For example, you can have a grid layout in your menu, like this. But I usually prefer the default list with categories on the left, as you can see it is now. Another thing what I do, I go to the Behavior tab, and here I enable Switch Categories by hovering. This way, when you scroll through the different categories here, you see your menu also changes. I believe this is very useful because you can quickly see what's located in each category and find what you need. There are many other settings which you may find useful. I recommend you to check them, maybe there is something what is essential for you. But these are the two options I changed in my Manjaro. Change desktop themes. If you go to XFCE settings in Manjaro, and then you go to the Appearance tab, you will see that there are a number of themes pre-installed in your system, and you can choose among them here. So I believe the default theme is very nice, but if you don't like the default theme, you can always switch to something else. For example, you can use this theme, or you can even use Elementary OS theme. Then you need to go and change your icon style, which is here. Here again, you need to see what you like. There are many different icons available. So Macaron icons are very nice, Papyrus icons are also nice. Well, maybe Elementary OS was not the perfect theme here, but Untheme is very good. So I will select Untheme here. So after you have changed style and icons, you need to go to all settings, and then you need to go to Windows Manager and also change the Windows theme. Windows theme is usually your title bar and borders. And I will select Untheme here. So, for example, this is how your Manjaro may look like. It is little different from the default theme. But if you want to go beyond all these pre-installed themes, I recommend you to check my video on how to customize your XFCE. Add user image. To complete your desktop theme settings, I recommend you also to add your user image. You can do that if you open Manjaro settings, click on your user accounts, select your username here, and then you just need to click on this image and select any available image or your custom image. I saved my image in Pictures, ALU, here it is. Then I need to enter my password. Now I have my user image set in my Manjaro, as you can see here. Check your webcam and microphone. If you run Manjaro on a laptop, or if you have a web camera connected to your desktop, I recommend you to check if they work correctly in your Manjaro. First, you can check the microphone. You need to open Pulse Audio settings, and here in the input devices, you will be able to select your microphone and see if it is working. Right now you can see I have this kind of popping up signal, so this means my microphone is working. But to check the webcam, you need to install an additional application. You open Manjaro Software Center and search for the application, which is called GUVC Viewer. Here it is. There are several of them, but you need to install this one. You install it. After the installation, you open it from the menu, and you will see that your webcam is working. Enable Flatpak or Snap. This is very optional thing to do after installing Manjaro, because in Manjaro you already have access to all applications through Arch user repository, which we have enabled previously. But in some cases you may want to run the same application in different versions. For example, you may have KDE-in-Live 1 version and KDE-in-Live the latest version. So in some scenarios it may be useful, and you can easily enable that option in Manjaro. If you open Software Center, go to Preferences, you will find Snap and Flatpak tabs, and you can enable these features right here. For example, if I enable Flatpak, I close it, and let's do KDE-in-Live search. So as you can see, I can click on this Flatpak option and select a Flatpak version of KDE-in-Live. And this will be 2008. And if I go to Arch user repository, I can install another version of KDE-in-Live here. And if I go to all repositories, I can see there are many different versions of KDE-in-Live. So in some cases it may be a useful option. Number 27. Turn off startup applications. If you check what applications start with your system in your Manjaro, you may find that you don't need some of them, so you can easily disable them. You just need to search for the menu Session and Startup, open it, then you go to Application Auto Start, and here you will see a list of things which start with your system. And if you know that you don't need them, you can safely disable them here. For example, I don't use a Bluetooth, so I disable Bloom and Applet here. Then I again scroll through all other features here and disable them if I don't need them. If you're unsure about some things, just skip it, but if you know that you don't need that feature, you can disable here. For example, I don't use Snap, so this way you will also reduce the load of your system. Remove some apps. This is another thing you can do to make your system lighter. If you open Software Manager and go to the Install tab, you will see all the applications which are installed on your system. Manjaro is pre-configured for general use, so it has a lot of pre-installed applications which may not be necessary for all users. I usually scroll through these applications and remove some of them. I don't have a Bluetooth, as I mentioned previously, so I remove it. I also don't use HexChat, so I remove it too. I don't have any printers, so I can remove this HP Device Manager. I also remove Pigeon Messenger. If you don't want to use Thunderbird email client and you access your email client through the web, you can remove it as well, but I usually keep it because I use Thunderbird. I don't have any CD-ROM, so I don't need this XF Burn application. I remove it, and I cannot find it here, but I know that there is Steam pre-installed, so I don't play any games on my system, so I usually remove Steam as well. Then, after you have selected all applications you want to remove, you click on this Apply button, check if it's correct list of things to remove, and remove them. So this way, your Manjaro will have less applications installed, it will be lighter and cleaner. Now, I would like to show you how you can clean your Manjaro system. And you can easily do with the application, which is called BleachBit. You just need to search for it in the Software Center and install it. After the installation, open it from the menu. You can keep the preferences default here, and you will see that there are many options you can choose on the left, and by choosing this option, you decide what you want to clean in your system. For example, it is usually safe to clean your Firefox cache, Google Chrome cache. You can also clean your journal system. You can clean system cache. If you want, you can clean your keyboard. There are many other options here. You can clean your thumbnail cache. If you use Thunderbird, you can clean it as well. You can clean all the temporary files for VLC. So there are many things you can clean in your system. Just be careful, go through all the options here. If you are not sure what it is, you can skip it, but if you know what you are doing, select it and clean. After you have selected what you want to clean, you just click on this clean button and delete all these files. You will see the process of cleaning your system, and in the end you will see how much space you have released in your system. And in my case, I have cleaned 169 megabytes. This application is very useful, and I recommend you to use it from time to time to keep your Manjaro system clean. I also recommend you to check your Manjaro system for any errors. To do that, you need to open terminal. Type this command: sudo systemctl with the option failed, and see if there are any processes which have failed on your system. As you can see, I don't have any failed processes. This is already very good. I hope you will get the same message. And the second option is to type sudo journalctl with option p3 xb. And hopefully you will see that there are no errors as well. As you can see, I have no entries here. So this means I don't have any error on my system and everything works fine. If you see any error, don't get scared. Sometimes you may have some errors here and they may not be very crucial. Just Google it and I think you will find additional information about that error, and you will figure out how crucial it is for your system and whether you need to fix it or not. So I hope this video was useful and you have learned a lot of new things you can do after installing Manjaro. There are actually many more things you can do. For example, you can connect your Android phone with Manjaro, or you may need to configure VPN in your Manjaro. But I have not shown those things in this video because I have shown it in my previous video on things to do after installing Ubuntu. The process will be exactly the same for Manjaro, so please watch that video. Thank you for watching.